Welcome to the Nurses Break Room. It's not a place we get to visit very often in real life, but you're always welcome to come and recharge here. And while you're at it, head to selfcareisn'tselfish.com and grab your free copy of my book, Self-Care Isn't Selfish, The Compassionate Nurse's Step-by-Step Guide to Personalized Stress Relief. It's packed with simple, effective strategies to help you prioritize your needs without guilt so you can feel energized, focused, and ready to take on the day. Grab yours at selfcareisn'tselfish.com. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Nurses Break Room with Jenny Lytle, RN. Today, we're going to focus on self-reflection. Often when we are busy taking care of everyone else, we don't take time to really stop and think about our own needs and how things are going and just reflect on how we're feeling and any challenges that we might be having. And so today I want to focus on a couple of ways that we're able to do that without taking a lot of time or energy, but just a way to check in with ourselves. So starting off with just how am I feeling today? Do I feel energized or content or stressed or exhausted, overwhelmed? What does that look like? And so, taking time to describe that in a few words, either in your head or if you want to write it down, then that's great too. And then thinking about what's been taking up most of my mental space and energy, worries or thoughts or distractions that have been weighing heavy on you. And maybe not even weighing heavy, but just things that keep coming up for you, things that maybe you're preoccupied with. And sometimes jotting those things down or even just saying them out loud, just voicing them can make them seem less overwhelming. Then what is one thing that went well today? And it can be a win, big or small, whatever it is, celebrate that. What we focus on grows. And when we look for the good things, then the good things continue to show up. What's a challenge that I faced and how did I handle it? And just thinking about that. And then what could I do differently next time? Even if it's something that you feel you handled well, often there's little tweaks that we can make, things that we think just make us think, well, maybe I could have done this a little bit differently. And what's something small that you can do to take care of yourself right now? And that can be taking a deep breath, stretching, getting a drink of water, stepping outside. It doesn't have to be big. It's those little things that really help us to care for ourselves regularly and without it feeling like an extra chore and without guilt. And that's so important because I know we talk a lot about guilt and the fact that we really struggle with that whole idea of self-care being selfish. And these are little practical things that you can fit into your life that don't take away a lot of time from other people, but really can have a big impact on the way that we feel and we see the world. And then looking at gratitude and affirmation, what are 3 things that I'm grateful for? And yes, they can be, the big 3, like, health and family and a roof over our head. But being even more specific, get down to the little nitty gritty. It doesn't have to be something big to be grateful for it. And it doesn't have to be anything big to really make our lives feel better. I mean, have you had a great cup of coffee or, maybe a beautiful day for a run if you're a runner, or a gorgeous sunset, somebody saying something nice to you, especially if it's a stranger. There's something about that when somebody doesn't know you and they just pay you a genuine compliment for no good reason other than they saw that in you and wanted to share it. And that reminds us that also the things that we do and these little acts of kindness can have a big impact. And speaking of kindness, what is one kind thing that I can say to myself? Self care starts with self awareness and giving yourself that space and grace to do things imperfectly. This morning, I was doing my devotionals and I read something that said kindness is always right. And it brought up the verse from Ephesians 4:32 that says, "Instead be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God through Christ has forgiven you." And I really loved this part that it said in the devotional part, treating one another with kindness is so important because kindness is always fair. Kindness is appropriate for any person in any circumstance. When we are quick to judge, we are sure to miss the whole picture and act wrongly. But when we are quick in kindness, we will always be acting rightly. And isn't that beautiful? I think that's just something so wonderful to be able to take into our day and into our week. And until next time, remember that self-care isn't selfish. It's essential if we want to continue to care for others and live our best lives. Disclaimer. Although I am a registered nurse, the medical and health information contained in this podcast is provided for general information and educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional advice. Therefore, before taking any actions based upon such information, I encourage you to consult with appropriate professionals. I do not provide any specific medical or health advice, and the use of or reliance on any information contained in this podcast is solely at your own risk.